Have you ever thought, who am I to be doing this? Or felt like any minute someone will find out you don't know enough, aren't good enough, or you don't belong? That, my friend, is imposter syndrome. I think the first time I felt it, I was around 19 when I got a job at the airlines in Houston. I had just returned to Texas after 8 years in Sweden and fresh out of school, graduated the first level of fashion school. I was a seamstress. Sewing clothes was my passion as a teenager. And suddenly I was doing data entry for a global airline at one of the busiest airports in the US. I had no clue what I was doing. Are you sitting in front of a pile full of tasks for your business, family, household, and everything else to do, and long for that to go away? The trick is creating passive income. Of course, there's some work behind the passive part, but working 20% compared to 120 completely turned around how I enjoy life today. Great to have you here. Are you ready to move the needle, work less, and earn more? Grab your latest craft project and your favorite drink. Let's stitch together purpose, profit, and peace to create the life we've long been wanting. I had no clue what I was doing. We had all sorts of cargo on board the flight. Most of what we have in our households are imported, of course, from somewhere else. Computers, auto parts, live animals, fresh fruits, or Texas steak. In a short period of time, if we didn't get that day's shipments entered in time, the flight could leave without the little baby chickens on board. Luckily, I took these typing classes in the 8th grade. Over the years, whether it was in customer service at the airline or marketing at a tech startup or global logistics provider, doing events for thousands at a pharma giant, or standing at an expo in Italy or China explaining nanotechnology, I barely understood. I've had plenty of imposter moments. And yet, looking back, every time I felt like an imposter was actually when I was stepping into something new. Growing into higher positions within one company didn't really have the imposter feeling like starting a new industry did. But I wasn't a fraud. I was just at the beginning of growing into the person that role or that season required me to be. That's what I want to share with you today. Imposter syndrome isn't proof you're a fraud. It's proof you're stretching, growing, and stepping into the person you're becoming. So what is imposter syndrome really? Imposter syndrome is the gap between who you are today and who we imagine we should or want to be. When you start a business, you might picture yourself as that confident, excited, thriving entrepreneur. But the reality is, right now, you're buried in tech, taxes, marketing, and tasks outside your comfort zone. If you have a craft business, then accounting or marketing may overwhelm you. But here's the truth. Those feelings don't mean you're failing. They mean you're learning. As you take courses or get coaching, try new things, fail once in a while, adjust, and then try again, you grow into the person you were picturing at the start with new skills to add to your portfolio. And for the things that could be outsourced, it's really not that far-fetched to get help so you can focus on what you're really good at. So the key message of this is imposter syndrome isn't a flaw. It's evidence you're leveling up. So why does it show up when you're growing? Think about it for a moment. Comfort zone versus growth zone. Comfort feels safe because you've already arrived there. You know what you're doing and you know what to expect. But growth, that's where imposter syndrome shows up. Launching your first online shop, or raising your prices, posting your first video, speaking on a stage. Does it sound familiar? It's not sitting in a classroom learning a new language. It's when you fly to that country and have to give a presentation in front of native speakers. That's when you feel like a fraud, even though you're just learning. So for many of us, starting an online business brings plenty of these moments, really many. And if you're like me, from a generation that did not have computers when we were born until a ways into the working world, hanging on in the speed of today's new tech, it sometimes feels like jumping from the movie Grease into a sci-fi film at hyperspeed. Since I have immersed myself in online webinars, I've learned more and more. I understand more and more. When things make sense, we feel less lost. I can see that I am definitely moving along in my journey and into that position I need to step into to reach that vision I had for myself when I started. At first, I thought I could sort of avoid the advanced tech advancements. I'm savvy enough to get by pretty good, but I'm no longer interested in the details. But I'm getting more comfortable in each step. Still, in the midst of putting myself out there to become the person comfortable with all these aspects and leading a business of this sort. But here's the catch. Avoiding the discomfort does not solve it. Staying on the sofa with Netflix does not make you grow. You have to walk through the awkward, I don't know what I'm doing stage. And eventually, what felt scary starts to feel natural. Without discomfort, there is no growth. It's funny, it's mainly at first there's a feeling of discomfort, like with running or any sorts of sport. After a while, it feels good, and you want to do it. Then if you don't do it, that feels uncomfortable. So if you feel like an imposter, it's actually a sign that you're moving forward and toward the person you want to become. So, how do we shift the narrative? Here are a few ways to turn imposter feelings into fuel. Start with naming it. Say it out loud. I feel like an imposter. It immediately loses some power. Then, reframe it. It's not I don't belong, it's I'm still becoming. Then, collect your wins. Keep a smile file of small successes, of kind words and encouraging notes. Then you can borrow belief. When your own faith wavers, lean on mentors or your community or God's promises. And lastly, act anyway. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. Confidence follows. Some people say, or you've heard the saying, fake it till you make it. Now, that has come back as obviously something that can work, but I prefer act as if you're becoming. Or like Dan Martell tweeted the other day, act like the version of you that already won. Dress for the role you're stepping into. Visualize how it will feel when you're there. Your brain starts to believe it, and your actions line up with that belief. And remember, God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. If you're feeling underqualified, you're in the perfect place for Him to work through you. That's trust. So, how do you spot the growth? Here's a great way to shrink imposter feelings. Look back. A year ago, would this task have scared you even more? 6 months ago, would you have even tried it? Celebrate the small steps. Publish that first listing. Hit record. Share your work. Document it. That will remind you of the how far you've come. No matter how far, it's more than if you would have stayed on the sofa. Imposter feelings shrink when you track progress. You realize it's part of the learning process and you're moving forward. And the fear goes away. Because when you track progress, you realize you're not an imposter. You're just in the learning process, in public. So to recap, imposter syndrome is not the enemy. It's proof you're growing. It shows up when you step outside your comfort zone. You can reframe it, use it, and trust that you're being equipped as you go. Let me send you off with some encouragement. You're not an imposter. You're an entrepreneur in the making, and every step forward is shaping you into that person you've been picturing in your mind. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one time that you felt imposter syndrome, and what did it teach you? Drop in the comments of your podcast player or come find me on social. My handle is Vikija & Co. Link in the show notes. Let's start a conversation.
I hope this episode helped you move forward toward your goals and dreams, and that inspired you in some way. If it did, please do share it with a friend, and it would help me greatly if you would like to leave a review on the show. Have a look online at bkija.info, where you can find out more about the online business system I chose to run alongside my knitwear business, and that changed everything for me. That's vekija.info. There's a link and more info in the show notes. I'd be happy to mentor you every step of the way. Keep your heads up and take consistent steps forward with your eyes on the prize. And remember, mindset is the largest factor for success. See you next time and be blessed.